You were mute.
Okay, so once again, it's a second time. So hello to everyone again. My research topic is psychological explanation of conflict. As a part of my PhD dissertation here in Jena University, I do my research on reconciliation, explaining the conflicts between Russia and Ukraine. And what I have found interesting is the psychological moments and the explanation of conflict. So there is the two different approaches that I found. It's from individual psychology and from collective psychology. Individual psychology says that conflicts are part of human being. So we don't have to look at for conflicts on the international level. We just see the conflicts in ourselves. Probably a person itself as its ego divided and conflict, and this conflict is natural because we have to understand this conflict as the in human being and between human beings is natural. Probably social clinical psychology research has claimed that conflicts among the individual inseparable parts. So we have many research, very big research and great research that says and claims about how it's developed. For instance, it's Sigmund Freud and Alfred Adler and Carl Gustav Jung. So the fathers of psychology says that we have this in our childhood and our ego, our direct ego built with a connection us with the society. So collective psychologists say that we are identifying ourselves with inner and outer group. For instance, if I grow in Ukraine, I identify myself with some inner group, Ukrainian group or Russian speaking group. And from this perspective, I will find my friends and my enemies. So this kind of very global approach, and he says that we have to look at the conflict and seek for the conflicts in ourselves. So association and interpretation, mental connection between ideas or things. If you will go deeper to this perception, so we understand that ideas of conflict, we can find it into the human being, in the individual. So as an individual define himself and identifies with something, and we have this mental connection. So he finds himself in conflict. The conflict is inside conflict, but the projection of conflict is outside. So that's why we have a lot of people and societies that have conflicts that not going out of their homes or out of their heads. We can discuss about people who are in different parts of the globe and hate each other. And when you asking why they hate each other, they really don't know, because they have the perception, inside perception, individual perception. So there is intergroup conflicts can be also divided into social conflicts, religion conflicts, and these communities of people are what is the most interesting claim that they are not inseparable from each other, because they really provides one big community. As the one individual sees conflict in himself, and he's just showing this conflict to outside world. So I bring this very interesting quote of Carl Gustav Jung, one of these psychologists, one of very deep psychologist perception. And he says, he look outside dreams, he look inside awakes. So why we should understand the conflicts from looking from outside, when we can look inside ourselves and find that this conflict is part of ourselves. Probably when I try to understand what is this conflict about, I found that conflicts is part of every society, because we have society in every part of the globe, in every country, also peace countries. Look at what happens in the United States. So you can see the conflicts inside society. And when I'm asking why these conflicts exist, so Carl Gustav Jung would answer that the conflicts inside human being. So this human being have to look inside of himself in order to find why these conflicts are going, and not probably it's more about the action, because he talks about not just discovering about future actions. So Carl Gustav Jung talks about archetypes, and the archetypes, when he says, okay, we have human being, we have individual, and we have microcosmos and microcosmos. So microcosmos is human being, and microcosmos it's a universe or Earth or whatever. So those archetypes, what he means, it's kind of ideas that we have, and these ideas was built through the evolution. So our evolution builds our ideas, and how we can know about these ideas, which ideas they are. So I provide here a couple of myths. He takes about myths. He says that human being was built himself, individuality was built about myths and things that happened in the past. So we have to seek in the early evidence and history from human being. So I bring here two stories from Bible. It's first story Cain and Abel. And why this story says us about? It says about two human beings that exist, only two human beings that exist in the world. They don't have different nation, they don't have different economical status, and one of them kill another. Why he kills another? So this discussion and the discussion, this tragedy of understanding, he says, it's a part of human being understanding and human society understanding, because we everyone have such kind of things in our individuality, and this individuality says about some kind of divineness. We don't have unity in ourselves. So it is the first example. The second example, I think the first talks about individuality. The story about Cain and Abel, it is individuality perception. And if you talk about social, the Tower of Babel. So we have great story about Tower, and when I was studying Bar-Ilan University, it's a university there, we also studied Talmud, and their explanation of Talmud, it says about one thing, that people, the first history of human conflicts, it comes from the story of Tower of Babel. And this story says about people that speak with each others, but don't understand each other. So we see this perception that people, maybe they talk, they say something, but they don't really understand about the farness that came one from another. And this also all the way it came from individuality, human individuality. Okay, so the next, I bring this claim of philosopher. It's probably one of the philosophers who goes against probably accepted logic of today. It says about how does language explanation bring us, and how they put us our perception. Because when we're dealing about something, we're talking about conflicts, about peace, we're talking maybe in some ways that don't catch something, but we are missing. We are missing something. Our language is missing something. Probably the most perception that those 3 points try to show us that we have to seek the answers in ourselves, in our souls. It's not the answer from outside of the economical perception, of the religion, of racial, of territorial. So we will not solve the problem by resolving these things. And there is an interesting quote of Carl Gustav Jung: despite our proud superiority over nature, we still are victims that have not learned to control own nature. It's very tragic, maybe concept that says that we are maybe learn a little bit how to control nature. And we think that we control ourselves, but nature controlling us, because the great wars of the great danger of great war, and he's aiming to destroy us. So who is controlling? Who is the main issue controlling? We controlling the nature, or nature controlling us, and says us, maybe if we will not learn how to deal with ourselves, you can destroy yourself. So it's maybe a little bit deep perception. If I go to from this tragic little bit description of human individuality, I'm go to the synthesis. The synthesis I took from, of course, from Hegel. He says about synthesis of approaches, and I found the synthesis into Alfred Adler perception. His perception saying one very interesting thing. He has the connection. He says individual is connected to the society, and this connection, individual and society, will prove how much we can live together, we can understand, and we have happy time and happy life. So I'm recently found a very interesting research from Oxford University that says that they check the wealth of people and who is the happiest people, and they found the happiest people who live in the society with the mutual help in society. So our wealthness and our happiness, it's provided by our synthesis, our connection to society, our mutual help and understanding. So social connections, I think the most important thing is the social connection as provided by Alfred Adler. So we have social connection, and when we really have connection, we understand that the division, the regular division, race division or other division, are disappear. It's disappear about our standardization of our fields, because every people have same feeling and same needs. So till the end, I would present some picture about evolution, maybe some short but very interesting point that it says that we come to some point and we have to go to reconcile, and 2 points of reconciliation is reconciliation with ourselves, and as a researcher, that feel peace in myself, I can discover peace in others. And as a researcher, I have to maybe turn a little bit back and to see the steps that happens and not criticize them, but to think how I can connect to them and provide more peace and more peaceful relationships. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Binyamin. Let's see if there are some questions.
Yes. Okay, thank you. If you have some questions, some proposals, I would like to hear from you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for this very interesting tour and understanding of psychodynamics. I always believe this is very, very important to stress the role of psychodynamics. And I found in my own research that one of the probably most useful ideas from psychodynamic is defense mechanisms, because they can explain projections, they can explain negativity, but there are a lot of positive defense mechanisms which help in and can be used. For example, theater of oppressed or art, and I know there will be art presentation. What is your position about like very specific ideas how psychodynamic or psychosynthesis can be used in reconciliation?
Thank you, Professor Gurstein, for the question and for feedback. I'm not discovering something new. I'm just saying that things that were from 3,000 years from according to Jewish studies, and they already have been said in Talmud, that we in our everyday behavior we should behave as the person who invites reconciliation in our lives, who invites people. We are the individuals, and we are the presenter. We are the people of change. So those people are in their speak, in their acting, and how they act on their regular life with the person who surround them. I think it's more openness and a small acceptance of things and not judgment approach. It's a little bit sounds sophisticated, but I think the people who provide the energies he built around himself, the community. So I believe in it, and I think this conference is a part of this, because the goodwill provides some good things. When you touch one people, and you touched one people, you touched one world. There is very interesting quote from Talmud. It says, if you save one person, you save the world. Because those things, and I believe in this way, if I can touch with one sentence on one thing, on email or whatever, one person, so it's great. One world I touched, so yes. But I'm also painting and making art, but it's different way of